Hello and welcome to another episode of Camper Cooking. Today we're going to be doing Dave and Betty's awesome fish recipe. This is a real simple one and it tastes amazing. You can use just about any fish that you want as long as it's a white flaky fish. Not a whole lot of ingredients in this one, it'll be listed in the comments. So we're going to start off with cast iron pan. Why? Because I love cast iron. We're going to want to take a white, brown, yellow, Swedish onion, thin slice, and layer it in the bottom of the skillet. This was 1/2 of an onion, jumbo onion, probably a bit too much for this recipe, but we went with it anyway. So yada yada yada, fire a bunch of onion in there. And then some more onion in there. Now we're going to want to add in about a 1/4 cup, give or take, of some dry cooking wine. Vermouth really works great on this one. It's not what I had, so that's not what I'm using. Now we're going to want to fire it in the oven, 400 degrees, let that cook down for about 20 minutes, half hour. We're not trying to cook the onions at all. We're just trying to start to get them cooked down, give it a little head start before we add our dish, our fish. So now we're going to get our batter ready. And what this is, it consists of Parmesan cheese and mayonnaise. You can use mayo if you want, real mayo. So basically equal parts. I'm going to fire a ton of mayonnaise in here. And we're looking for that batter consistency. We're going to go ahead and also drop in a little bit of that cooking wine just to thin it out a little bit. And dill to flavor. We like dill in this house, so I went ahead and threw a bunch of dill in there. I'm also about to sneak in some garlic, which the recipe doesn't call for, but we also like garlic in this house, so I'm going to go ahead and fire some of that in there too. Also, folks, make sure you're staying hydrated. This dish goes well with a nice white wine. I happen to have a red on hand, so that's what I'm having. Just said screw it and fired all the dill in there. Now for this recipe today, we're using mahi-mahi as kind of an experiment. Like I said, you can use any white flaky fish. Big thick fillets work really nice for this. Get them in there, get them all evenly coated. And then I kind of just let them hang out in there for a little bit. With them drinking some of that flavor. So now we're going to work on some things to go along with this meal. So we're going to be doing Hollandaise sauce with our asparagus. And as an afterthought, later on you'll see some potatoes come into the mix. So we're just starting out with a couple of egg yolks that I had from when I messed up the first take on this video. So I ended up using a total of 4 egg yolks. We like Hollandaise around here too, so I made a little extra. 2 probably could do it for 2 people. I guess 1 egg per person. So now we're gonna fire in a little bit of what I call the cock sauce. That's just your average sriracha. Calls for cayenne for heat, but I like to use the cock. A little lemon juice, just a squeeze. And this is some Louis' signature smoked paprika, only available in the UP of Michigan at Louis' Fresh Markets in Lake Linden. And we blend. Just warming my butter back up. You want to use hot melted butter for this. That's what's gonna semi-cook your eggs here. You don't want to add it all at once either, just kind of pour it in slow while mixing. And at some point you just say, go for it. I'm just gonna let that mix up a little bit more. I don't own a double boiler, so we're just gonna go ahead and improvise here. This is the pot, about 1 inch of water across the bottom. Go ahead and pour my Hollandaise into a glass bowl and then drop it right into that pot on the lowest heat setting. Don't worry, I'll come back for that a little bit later. Alright, always keep your work area cleanish, or at least the illusion thereof. Gotta love camper cooking, trying to make as much space as I can. Save them egg whites, never know when those might come in handy. And for the asparagus, it's asparagus. I'm just gonna give it a nice little toss in some oil, get everything nice and lubed up. I'm using olive oil, extra virgin. I use the foil just to keep things a little cleaner, and also allows me to give everything a nice roll. And if I need to speed things along, I can always roll that up in the foil for a quicker steam. Gotta get the tip a little bit better here. keep things simple here, we're just going to go with a nice big crack of fresh ground salt. And a nice healthy dose of just coarse chopped garlic. And we're just going to set that aside because cook times vary. And again, clean up your mess. Always. Do it as you go and you don't have a big pile of shit to deal with at the end. And have a sip. And it looks like I forgot to edit this part up. Great. And we're back. Looks like it's about time for us to put this fish dish together. And all we're doing is taking the onions out of the oven. You can see I've got a little browning caramelization on there, probably a little bit more than I wanted, but hey, that's what happens. Now I'm just placing the fish mixture on top of the onions. Not using any cooking oil or anything like that, just relying on my well-seasoned cast iron pan to get us through without a mess. And if you made a bunch of extra, fire that in there too. You'll eat it. Or call me and I'll come eat it. Or Dave. Dave loves this shit. Pan was a little dry, so I went ahead and added in just a little bit more of that cooking wine. Don't get too carried away with that, otherwise it's going to thin it out beyond recognition. And into the fire. This camper oven's a little weird. It's not your traditional oven. So for those of you cooking in a camper, you know what I'm talking about. Asparagus in. I set a timer for about 10 minutes here because I knew I was cooking that asparagus on a lower rack, which is super hot. So I needed to check that. Otherwise, we're looking for about 20 minutes on that fish and up to a half an hour. Just looking for a little golden brown on top of that. Caroline informed me that she would also like some potatoes in this dish. So, afterthought potatoes, here we go. Busted out the mini cast iron. Love me some cast iron. Bought a medium heat, melt some butter. I'm just using baby reds, quartered up. One thing I'll note is I should have microwaved these potatoes because of where I had started making them in the dish, and I did go off camera and end up putting them into the microwave for 3 minutes, I think, just to speed things along. Had I known I was making potatoes from the beginning, I would have started them at the beginning. Facts. I'm just going to toss these up with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil once again. Not much. Just something to help that seasoning stick a bit. Another nice healthy crack of that fresh ground salt. And then another healthy grinding of some fresh black pepper. As you can see, I'm a big cheater. We already know this if you've watched my other video. I like to buy the pre-peeled garlic. Man, is it ever a time saver. And we love garlic in this house. go ahead and give these guys a coarse chop. Fire them in. Alright, butter's melted. Into the pan with the potatoes. Get them coated up in that butter. Now, a little herbs de Provence. Basically, we're looking at some rosemary potatoes on steroids here. And since I'm too lazy to add some actual onions in here, I'm just going to hit them with a light dust of that onion powder. Fire them in the oven. Have another sip. And once again, forgetting to edit that right off the camera. Alrighty, and we're back again. Off camera, I've had to rotate things in and out. Just trying to make this film worthy here. Cooking in the 3-burner kitchen stove oven is less than ideal. The fact that it's gas is great. Other than that, it's tiny. But everything is done and ready to serve. My camera woman here is trying to give you a little close-up of the goodness. Because I was focusing on shooting this video just as much as I was focusing on the dish, I might have killed that asparagus a little bit, but it was still good. And you got a starving girlfriend behind the camera, you get her fed first. I only used 2 fillets on this recipe. I really should have made all 4 for the amount that I made, but this is really only my 3rd time making this dish. Dave and Betty do it best. And traditionally we use grouper when we do this with Dave and Betty. For those wondering, Dave and Betty are my girlfriend's grandparents. One thing about the Hollandaise, I've literally just been pulling that off and placing it back on the heat just to kind of keep it at a moderate temperature. You don't want to overheat that or you're going to end up breaking your sauce. This video is brought to you by the UP Pub. Kidding. I just love that place. So I wear the t-shirt. And of course, what cooking video is ever complete without the chubby chef munching down? Absolutely delicious meal, guys. Give it a try. It's not that hard. Might take you a couple attempts, but in the end, you'll be happy. You'll be happy you tried. Anyone want to see me chug wine? Little inside joke for those in the know.